Hello investors and traders, they'll speak about the stock market, S&P 500, main indexes, and of course the what happening in the US equities, US market. So let's start with S&P 500 usual. So here in my mind, while trading in the fourth wave, I think that here it was diagonal. It was the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. So here I'm expecting the finishing of the fourth wave, and then expecting another move down. It might be the fifth wave. In this case, the downside potential about 20%. So I'm expecting to see the S&P 500 much lower towards the end of this year. That's why I'm not heavily now buying stocks. Growing stocks is the main reason. So let's have a look on the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq continue to grow since the beginning of the year, but now we still from its high levels we down more than 20%. So of course the high inflation and also the Fed fund rate now is 5% in this months. The quarterly reports in the US area beginning, so we will see of course the results of the company, the quarterly results. I'm not I think that won't be so high, won't be so impressive, but of course we will see. But now I think we may see a slight increasement in the Nasdaq, and here a few levels, few important levels. It can be 11,000 and about 10,000. So if we see the Nasdaq lower 25%, so then I think I will start to heavily buying stocks, US stocks, Fangman, like such stock like Apple, Google. It can be interesting, but now in my mind it's still a very expensive. Let's have a look on the Brent, the US oil price. So as I told you previously, here I'm expecting to see the fifth wave. So it was in my mind the first wave, the second, the third. Usually the third is the largest wave in the impulse. Now in a correction, the fifth wave, and I'm expecting to see a spike in the fifth wave. It's higher than the third wave. It's maybe higher than 120. So generally speaking, I am still very bullish on the oil price. Let's have a look on my portfolio for this year. I prepared especially for you a video about my investment ideas for this year. So it was 4 assets: the TLT, the ETF and US Treasury, Bitcoin, Amazon and Disney. So the performance for today of such a portfolio, 25% per each asset, so it's 26%. I remind you that the S&P 500 in this year, its performance since beginning of the year is only 6%, so I outperforming the main index, the S&P 500, more than 20%. I think it's nice. It's very impressive. By the way, the Bitcoin I sold. I closed this position at 28,000, but we'll speak about lately. But generally speaking, it's my performance in this year, 26%. If I'm not mistaken, the performance of the Nasdaq is about 20%, so it's positive for 20%, but I'm also outperforming the Nasdaq. It's 26%, and it's these figures my outperforming over the index, over S&P 500. So 1 month ago it was 11%, but now it's more than 20%. So I will continue to hold it, the TLT. Now I will speak about the TLT and then the other assets. So here we back to the chart. So look about the B2C, the Bitcoin. What I think, why I'm close this position. So look, I bought Bitcoin at here. It was about 16,000. It was the ending of the 2022. If we'll speak about the waves, the alien waves, so the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. So the target for the fifth wave, it can be here. It can be using the Fibonacci levels. It was 32,000, but so the potential to grow here from the current level is about 15%, but I done already more than I earned more than 60%. I think it's quite nice, very nice profit, very nice performance for me. So I closed this position and earned already about more than 60% in 3 months. So generally speaking, maybe we will see the Bitcoin itself a little bit lower, but then of course it can be a correction. So after if here we had impulse, correction, impulse, so then it here most probably will be another correction. We'll see, but before I would like to see the fifth wave, the finishing of the fifth wave here. Let's move to the TLT, the US Treasury bond. So it's also up in this year more than 4%. And don't forget that this ETF on the US Treasury also pays a dividend. This dividend yield more than 2%. So don't forget, when the interest rates rise, so the TLT itself is decreasing. So that's why the performance in this year is poor. But when we may see a stop in the policy, in the monetary policy of the Fed, or even maybe if we may see a slight decreasing from 5%, for example, to 3%, it of course in the TLT we would see a bounce, a very fast growing. Anyway, 4%, it's very safe asset. Don't forget the Swiss Treasury bond, one of the safest asset in the whole market. It's pays a dividend monthly, so of course for me it's very attractive holding. Let's move to the XY, to the US dollar index. So now it's 102. As I told you previously, I am expecting to see the US dollar lower towards the end of this year, in the next few years. So I am expecting to see it 92, 93 points. So I maybe it's now watch the ceiling for the US Fed fund, and of course the main investors, main traders also thinking in such way and expecting to see the interest rates lower, and of course it may lead the US dollar, the US index, to become weaker and weaker relative to other currencies. I am also prepared for you a few pictures, so let's have a look. So the US bank deposits are shifting to money market fund. We see that here the money fund increasing since the beginning of the year, and the banks deposit in, we see it's become lower and lower. So because the banking crisis, and of course the regional banking crisis, such banks like Silicon Valley, bank their crashes, so that's of course leads that the people don't believe to such financial institutes and prepare to put their money in other fund assets. And the inflation, let's have a look on the Eurozone. We see that inflation now about it was about 10%, now it's more than 8%, and of course the M2 M1 money supply, we see that the money supply in the US zone is decreasing. So of course it's very hard when we see less and less money in the system to grow for the Eurozone, for the Eurozone stocks. So the inflation in US is about 6%, the Euro is more than 8%. So we see, of course, it's very high inflation. By the way, the last 20 years, the inflation, I guess the middle inflation was about 2%, but here we see a spike since the COVID crisis. The inflation is continue to increase and increase. So I guess in this period the average inflation is about 5-6%, and it's really a lot. Of course, it's an issue for the stock market. It's another problem, and the central banks trying to combat the inflation, and that's why we are living now in a high interest rates environment. And let's have a look on the inverted yield curve in US Treasury bond, the difference between the 10-year treasuries to 2 years. So if we'll look here, it was even more than 100 points. Now it's only 50 points, but actually the last stock market crashes we saw when it became from a negative to positive. So at this time, of course, there is probability. So when we will be in this point, we may see a stock market crash. So that's why in 2 quarters, 3 quarters from now, it's very high probability to see a stock market crash. So generally speaking, it's my view, it's my opinion for now. For the main indexes, for the US stocks, I prefer to buy dividend stocks like WBA, like Philip Morris, like AT&T, to receive stable cash flow in my portfolio. Of course, I earned a lot on the B2C in this year, and of course, if we will see the S&P 500 at a level 32, 33, for me, of course, it will be very attractive. So, and here major support level is 30, 38. So if we break this level, so the decreasement in the S&P 500 may start to be very fast, and may even to accelerate. So generally speaking, if you like this video, of course, press the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and see you on the next time. Bye.